Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
ఇక్కడ దాకా వెళ్దాం.
Yeah.
అవుతుందా ఇప్పుడు
ఎవరు
టాప్ దాకా వెళ్దాం. వెంటనే ఆ స్కూటీ తీసుకొచ్చారు.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Amma. Good morning.
Yeah, I think in terms of self-predestination, I'm not. I think I would follow along the lines of Calvin's Institute, where John Calvin too, when he spoke of self-predestination, he never outright said he was a self-predestination. I mean, some can argue with that. I think he affirmed that that by God's sovereignty, by understanding of sovereign grace, there are some that he chooses, and by implication, that means he chooses not to choose some, and so people call that reprobation, right? So there is, in a sense, a double predestination. I think if you were to label me something, I probably would be a double predestinarian, only because of how convicted I am of what I see God's sovereign grace, and I'll leave it at that. But what passages, Joshua, did his brother bring up? Proverbs 16:4. Yeah, the Lord has made everything for its own purpose, even the wicked for the day of evil. We have to realize that God's sovereignty, God is sovereign over everything in the universe, including Satan and the realm of evil. God is not the author of evil. James 1 makes that very clear, right? But God is sovereign over evil in the sense that evil does not go unplanned by the Father. Now, how do we understand that in terms of, explaining it clearly? I won't give you a sufficient answer because I think the more questions we ask, the
Hey, good morning, buddies. I was in another meeting, so I had just left that meeting. So good to see you. Who else have come? Pujit, as usual. Ajay, Renusri. Who is this Kobbari? 2. Hello. Hello. Who is this? Kobbari 2. Hello.
Coconut.
Who is this?
We don't know, sir.
Can you start your video? Avinash. Okay. Sandeep, Namrata, Chaitanya, Durga Bhavani, Akshita, Satya, Tejaswini. Okay. Is there anybody else to come? అంటే లైట్గా ఉంటాయిలే అని చెప్పి డోంట్ టేక్ ఇట్ లైట్. అంటే ఏం కాదులే, అది కంపల్సరీ పాస్ చేసేస్తారు అట్లాంటి వాటితోటి డోంట్ టేక్ దోస్ రిలాక్సేషన్స్. మీరు మామూలుగా ఎగ్జామ్స్కి ఎట్లా ప్రిపేర్ అవుతారో అట్లే ప్రిపేర్ కాండి. డోంట్ టేక్ ఎనీ కన్సెషన్స్. అంటే ఎట్లయినా పాస్ చేస్తారులే, ఏం కాదులే అన్న. ఇప్పుడు ఎట్లాగూ ఇంట్లోనే ఉంటున్నారు కాబట్టి యూ రీడ్ అండ్ ఉంటాయి, చాయిస్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది, అవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. బట్ డోంట్ థింక్ అబౌట్ ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్. ఇంతకుముందు ఎగ్జామ్స్కి ఎట్లా ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారో This is the last exams in your life. So last regular exams in your life. So prepare for them as you prepare for other exams. So don't think about అందరిని పాస్ చేస్తారు ఎందుకు ఫెయిల్ చేస్తారు ఏం చేయరు చదువుకోవచ్చులే అట్లా ఆలోచించకండి. సో 4-2 కూడా స్కోరింగ్ కాబట్టి read it maximum and read all the 5 units and see, identify which units are small and these things. So yesterday I could not post the material. Today I will do it in the Google class. I will post all the materials and all the slides. And this is a theory subject. You have to read it. There is no other way. It's something like, you know, novel. You have to read and write it. So you have to think about that. Did you brush your teeth? Yeah. So that's what I wanted to tell. Okay. Shall we start the lecture? Sandeep has come. Okay.
So,
Yeah. We were talking about behavioral performance management as a part so we are talking about behavioral performance management because as a manager we want to maximize the performance of the people who are working in our team. So we want to understand the behavioral science, how the people behave. This is what we have to understand. And unless we understand the people behavior, we cannot be a good or effective manager. So when we are trying to understand this behavioral science, we have come across, even already in the earlier units, we have come across two theories. One is classical conditioning. Another one was operant conditioning. This classical conditioning is proposed by Russian scientist Ianpavlovs. What he has done is he has done an experiment. So he used to feed a dog and he used to see or measure the saliva that has been produced whenever the food is there. And then sometimes he used to ring a bell. He used to ring a bell. When that bell was rung, dog didn't respond at all. So what the technical terms that we can use here is, this is unconditioned stimulus because there is no conditioning at all. There is no training. Just the food was brought to the dog and the dog was salivating. And after that, some bell was ringing. It was not responding at all. We don't respond, right? Sometimes when we go on the road, some people will be calling, some people will be horn their vehicles, but we don't respond because we are neutral to those stimulus. Now what he has done is, in his famous experiment, every time he put the food, he used to ring the bell. So this is called conditioning. This is called conditioning. So when this happened for a period of time, he observed, even though there is no food, when the bell was rung, it was automatically salivating. This is classical conditioning. So he proposed that our behavior is a result of our conditioning or the stimulus inside us. The stimulus inside us, the way we stimulate the things which will determine our behavior inside us. This we say is behavior because of what is inside us. So what stimulates us? So if you see in our daily life, we can see the many examples. This is called stimulus response thing, conditioning. So we can see here, suppose while we are in the class or somewhere, the smartphone rings. When the smartphone rings, if that ring phone is the same as our mobile ring phone, of course, me class lo, you don't put it on ringtone mode, you will be put it in silent mode, but at home, let us say. So, or somewhere at gathering, automatically we think it is our phone, because our mind is conditioned to associate that sound to our mobile. So immediately we will check our phone whether it is ringing or not. So that is one of the example for a classical condition. Then celebrities in advertising. No, whenever a celebrity advertises, people will look in. Suppose sometimes they don't have any, no, suppose cricketer is there, if he advertises about a boost or some thing, it's okay. So about some bat or some ball or something. But if a cricketer advertises about shampoo, he is not related to that. But still, that goes well with our mind, because we are conditioned to admire whatever he says. So even though they are not related to this one. So, and even in restaurant, when we go to any restaurant, immediately we smell some biryani and we start salivating, because our mind is conditioned. So somewhere down the lane, when we were young or small, somewhere we were fearful of dogs. So that's called phobia. Maybe we are frightened of the darkness. We are frightened of some lizard. We are frightened of some mosquitoes, or we are frightened of some, what we say, rat, cat, dog. So this will become a phobia. Some people know stage phobia. First time you might have went to the stage, and first time what happens? I still remember I went to stage in my 5th class. I went to read something, but I still remember my knees were tucking, and I was totally drained out, and I don't know what to say, and that was my first horrible experience on the stage. But fortunately, I tried it again. So because of that experience, some people may be conditioned saying that I have this phobia. So automatically that phobia comes. Then, suppose you are a topper and the school, and whenever you get progress card, when you show that progress card to your mother or your father, they will respond well. So because this has been conditioned, you will come home very fastly to show that report card and to show that memo. I know most of the times we don't show the memos to our parents at engineering. Then you are averted, you have aversion towards some food poisoning, and that day you don't like certain foods. Some people don't like chicken, some people don't like mutton, some people don't like some cabbage, some people don't like cauliflower sometimes. So because that smell, or you are conditioned like that, then automatically when there is a Wednesday or something like a games period or something, people will be excited. That excitement comes inside, and there is any fest or anything. And obviously, whenever you have an exam, what will happen? Obviously, anxiousness, tension, nervousness, all these things will come when you have an exam, obviously. Then, injections, we get some vaccine or injection. Without knowing, especially Chinnapillalu, when they go to doctor, automatically they start screaming, because they know that injection gives some pain, induces some pain. So these are all festival shopping. When you have the festival, people will go on shopping and they're excited about it. These are all classical conditions. There is a stimulus inside us that will determine or behavior. This we can call as inside out. This is just a minute. I got call. Sir, good morning. Good morning, sir. Cheppandi. Yeah, sir. Chepparu. Yeah. Okay, sir. Yeah. So these are all what we say is classical conditioning. That means inside out, and inside you have a stimulus, maybe because of some conditioning, and because of the inside stimulus, you will be behaving. So your behavior is a function of the stimulus, and the response is a function of stimulus. That is what classical conditioning. And B.F. Skinner, Burrhus Frederick Skinner, he proposed the opposite of this. What he proposed is behavior is not a function of stimulus, but it is a function of consequence. It is a function of consequence. When we do certain thing, if we get a good result, we will repeat it. If we get a bad result, we will abstain from it, and we will stop from doing that. So, according to this theory, behavior theory, behavior is a function of the consequence. Behavior is a function of consequence, but not a stimulus. Consequence. So it is a paradigm of response stimuli. Response will produce the stimuli. That is what this theory says. Classical conditioning says stimulus produces response. Operant condition proposed by Skinner says the response of an action or consequence of a behavior produces stimuli. For example, take a rat, it sees a food and it tries to grab it, and it was closed or there was some rat bone. Next time it will not come if it escapes. So even in our daily life, we can see many examples for this operant conditioning. Many examples, something like, as I told you yesterday, our parents would discipline us because of some mistake which was done by us. And we will not repeat that mostly because we know that the consequence of that action. In student life, generally, students will try to do some mischievous things in the class. If they know about the consequence, suppose a teacher is tough and he will punish very seriously or he will discipline very seriously, obviously the students will not do because of the consequence. So the second aspect, the second theory is operant conditioning. So this operant conditioning, this operant conditioning this operant conditioning has four main category. 4 main category. Our behavior is reinforced when we have positive reinforcement, means repeating. We will repeat certain times. Suppose, and I will give a small example. Suppose one boy is looking towards a girl. If a girl malla tirigi chusindi anukondi, what the boy will do? He will go on repeating it. That means he will reinforce the behavior. So the psychology divides the reinforcement into 4 main categories: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, and extinction. Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, and extinction. These 4 are very important. And in operant conditioning, timing and frequency are very, very important things. Timing and frequency. So coming to the positive reinforcement. For example, you have you got first rank in the class and you got a poster with your name and you got a big round of applause in the class and everybody are looking up to you. That will make you to work for the topper position, the appreciation, and your employee, the salary or the recognition will make us to work more. That is called positive reinforcement, because you will be repeating the behavior because you have got some positive reward. Even in dogs, when you are training a dog, or when you say dog shabash and something like that, what it will do? It will repeat the thing. Even chinnappillalu kuda manam chusi chappatlu kottam anukondi, obviously what they will do, they will repeat their behavior. So something like, edana illu udcho ledana pani cheste abba shabash, whatever done you do, what a wonderful work you have done ante, they will do it. That is called positive reinforcement. For example, an employee got bonus for exceptional sales figures. He or she inclined to continue the high performance with hope of receiving another. But that is air spray, that is not hand spray. Yeah. So this is positive reinforcement. I hope I am very clear on this. I think so. Now coming to the negative reinforcement. For example, rather than adding a pleasant response, negative reinforcement is removing an unpleasant stimulus. Removing an unpleasant stimulus. For example, suppose a worker is working well and the boss may give him a day off, 1 day permission. This is negative reinforcement. And rather than giving a positive reward, a negative, he will reduce the presence of something undesirable. That is the amount of time spent at work. He will reduce it. For example, a young children condition their parents. Etla jastaru? No, ఎక్కడికన్నా బయటికి షాప్కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఇది కొంటావా కొనవా లేకపోతే నేను గట్టిగా ఏడుస్తారు, అక్కడ గొడవ చేస్తారు, కొన్నిసార్లు చిన్నపిల్లలు అయితే కింద పడతారు, దొర్లుతారు. అంటే వాట్ దే ఆర్ డూయింగ్, ఓకే ఇట్లా చేస్తే మా పేరెంట్ కొనిస్తాడు అనే నమ్మకం వాళ్ళకుంటే దే విల్ రిపీట్ ఇట్. ఎప్పుడు ఆఫ్ చేస్తారు ఏడవటం? అది కొనిస్తే ఆఫ్ చేస్తారు. సో ఈవెన్ చిన్న పిల్లలు 1 month 2 months వాళ్ళ ఆకలి అయిందని ఎలా చెప్తారు? గట్టిగా ఏడుస్తారు. గట్టిగా ఏడిస్తే పాలు తీసుకొస్తారు అని వాళ్ళకి తెలిసిపోతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ నెగటివ్ రీఎన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్ అన్నమాట. సో నెగటివ్ రీఎన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్ ఈస్ వెరీ కామన్ ఇన్ జస్టిస్ సిస్టమ్స్. ప్రిజన్స్ కొన్నిసార్లు ఏం చేస్తారు అంటే, నెగిటివ్ అంటే ఉన్నదాన్ని తీసేయటం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, కొన్నిసార్లు వాళ్ళ మంచి బిహేవియర్ బాగుంది అనుకోండి, what they will do? They will reduce the sentence. That is classical negative reinforcement. they will remove something undesirable. Prison lo undadam evarki ishtam ledu, so they will remove undesirable. This is negative reinforcement. Now let us go further. What were the 4 things we are discussing in operant conditioning? Anybody? Nene maatladukuntunnana lekapothe Namrata?
Sir.
Yeah. What were the 4 things? Sadhana?
Sir.
What were the 2 conditionings?
Tell Sadhana.
Wait, let me check.
Sadhana has joined just now, I think.
Oh, sir.
Namrata?
Sir.
Yeah. What were the 4 points we were discussing in operant conditioning? 2 conditionings we were discussing. One is classical conditioning proposed by Ianpavlovs, and the second one was operant condition proposed by B.F.Skinners. In operant conditioning, we just now discussed 2 points. What are they? Positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is giving some reward. Negative reinforcement is removing the unpleasant one. That is negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement. Okay, good. Then going further in the discussion, punishment. So reinforcement and punishment, they play a central role in learning process and provide evidence-based principles for behavioral performance management. Most learning experts agree that reinforcement is more important than punishment and is the single most important concept. But still, you need punishment. We have seen already this, positive reinforcers and negative reinforcers. Punishment. Punishment means, ante punishment anagane manaku వచ్చే ఐడియా ఏంటంటే దెబ్బలు కదా. మన ఇండియన్ సిస్టమ్ లో పనిష్మెంట్ అనగానే మనకు వచ్చేటువంటి ఐడియా ఇస్ some beating or something like that. Anything else? Punishment. So psychology defines punishment as something done after a given deliberate action that lowers the chance of that action taking place in the future. The most important intention behind the punishment is when we administer punishment, we don't want it to be repeated. That is a major intention behind the punishment. And whereas reinforcers, we have seen positive and negative. Reinforcers encourage the person to repeat the behavior. Got my point? Reinforcers encourages the person to repeat the behavior, whereas whether positive or negative. ఇప్పుడు నెగిటివ్ అంటే ఏంటి? జైల్లో ఉన్న వ్యక్తి మంచిగా ఉంటే తన పనిష్మెంట్ తగ్గింది, సో ఇట్ విల్ ఎంకరేజ్ హిమ్ టు బి. సో మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి పొరపాటున జైలుకు పోతే what he will do? He will try to behave positively so that he will get rid of that punishment. So reinforcers always encourage certain behavior, either negative or positive, whereas punishment discourages certain behavior. For example, employee is absent, missing. What will happen? Salary cut. When the salary is cut, obviously that is an undesired consequence. And కొంచెం తెలుగు ఉన్నోడైనా కొంచెం సోబర్ మైండ్ లో ఉన్నోడైనా ఏం చేస్తాడు? He will not repeat it. He will not repeat the same thing because nobody want to lose financially. Then Sometimes when we deal with the small kids or pets, a loud no, that sound is a classic example of punishment, unacceptable behavior. No anagane automatic, oh, they think, oh, is something wrong, so we should not repeat this. So generally in the lab, animals also, when they perform some lab experiments on the animals, they give some electric shock to train them. So punishment is one of the most used but least understood and badly administered aspects of behavioral management. Generally, manam punishment, how to administer punishment is a big science. Even kids vishayamlo kuda, how to discipline kids, how to punish kids. అంటే నేటి దినాల్లో వచ్చినటువంటి ఒక కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏంటంటే అసలు పిల్లల్ని కొట్టకూడదు, పిల్లల్ని అసలు ఏమి కొట్టడం అనే తప్పు అనే ఒక అది వచ్చింది. బట్ I don't agree with that. Punishment is very much required, and they should have some fear of punishment. Without fear at that age, where they don't know what is good and what is wrong, if they don't have any fear of punishment, there is a great danger that they will go away. They will go astray. So certainly there should be some fear of punishment. So how do we inculcate that fear? By anedi, that's a difference. So sometimes parents will go some extreme, beating them like leaving them like half dead. That is not correct punishment. I accept that, but still a controlled anger. మరి కోపంతో ఊగిపోతూ అని చెప్పేసి కర్ర తీసుకొని చితక బాధేయటం కరెక్ట్ కాదు. కానీ parents should be in control when he is administering the punishments. Okay, మీకు అవసరం లేదు, మీరు ఇంకా parents కాలేదు. When you become parents, come to me for a parenting class. I will tell you how to administer punishment. Okay. So in a family or in a complex organization, generally parents or supervisors, they revert to punishment instead of positive reinforcement. And there are many situations where we can avoid punishment and we can go for reinforcement. There we can go for reinforcement. Punishment is equally effective in altering behavior, but the punishment, if it is not carefully used, it will cause many undesirable effects. Punishment, or children or adult, nobody like to be punished. When you punish certain people in the office or in the organization or at home, that punishment will produce resentfulness, hatred, anxiousness, depression, it will reduce the productivity. It will reduce the productivity. So there is a growing research evidence that punishment has unintended negative effects on employees. General ga konni saarlu adhikaramlo especially kottaga vachina vallaki etla untadante punishment icheyala ani untadi, but that will have many negative effects on employees. One recent study found that those who receive rude, punishing feedback hurt their performance on complex tasks, and they dampened or reduced the creativity, flexibility, and memory recall. Another study found that over 90% of employees reported a negative outcome associated with the punishment. Thus, the use of punishment as a strategy to control behavior. What we are trying? We are trying to modify the behavior. We are trying to understand the behavior. So when we want to modify the behavior, we have seen positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and punishment. Punishment is a lose-lose approach. And punishment valla, punishment ni bad ga vaadtam valla, especially organization lo. నువ్వు నష్టపోతావు, మేనేజర్ నష్టపోతాడు, ఎంప్లాయీ కూడా నష్టపోతాడు. దీన్ని ఏమంటామంటే lose-lose situation. Both will lose. You won't get profit and that person won't. That is a lose-lose situation. So unless, and incourt thing and one more thing is, unless the punishment is very severe, they will take it light. Suppose a small punishment ichcharankonde, they will take it light and they will repeat it again. But the more severe the punishment is, the repeat kaadu, but it will produce lot of hate, revenge, and hatred. You know, మిమ్మల్ని ఒక సారో లేకపోతే ఒక మేడమో బాగా తిట్టేశారు అనుకోండి, బాగా తిట్టేశాడు, అందరి ముందు తిట్టేశారు. మేజర్ ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటంటే తిట్టడం ప్రాబ్లం కాదు, అందరి ముందు తిట్టడం ప్రాబ్లం. సో ఆటోమేటిక్గా మీ మనసులో ఏముంటుందో ఒక హేట్రెడ్ ఉంటుంది. అండ్ ఫైనల్లీ okay, I'll come to it. Okay, I think time is running out. We will stop this here. What we covered so far: classical conditioning, operant conditioning. In the operant conditioning, for behavior modification, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and punishment. This is what we covered. So let us join again. I am ending this meeting and let us join again.